So I think now that we have got a bit of perspective about civil services and probably how the life in civil services is, I think Pradeep mentioned about the challenges which are there, the opportunities which are there. And let's just again go back to how do you prepare for civil service examination. So I'll just take you through some of the basics of certain things. I'm guessing that a lot of you have probably not had exposure to what civil service examination is all about. What are the different stages of the examination? What is the pattern of the examination? And then we could have Himanshu, who could address your specific doubts about preparation as such. Also, we were expecting a Deputy Commissioner of Gurugram, Mr. Vinay Pratap Singh, but he unfortunately has been tied up with work and he hasn't been able to make it. In fact, no, I feel personally very proud to share that I have known Vinay for almost 10 years now. He's my immediate senior from college, and being appointed as DC of Gurugram and such an important district. So I think Pradeep mentioned that 50% of revenue of Haryana actually comes from Gurugram. So it's a very important district as far as Haryana state is concerned, and be given that responsibility at such a young age speaks volumes about the kind of work which he has done in the services over the last 6 years. So yeah, so these are there's something which is very essential about the preparation for civil service examination. Am I eligible for civil service examination? Right. So whether you fall into that age bracket, the as far as the eligibility criteria in terms of age is concerned, civil services examination, anyone who's more older than 18 years of age can appear in this examination, and there are different age limits which are there for people belonging to different social categories. For the general category, the maximum age limit as it stands today is 32 years. As it stands for OBCs is 35, and for scheduled castes, I think it's 38 or probably 40. Or I think for OBCs it is 37. 37. 30. 37, yes, 37, and I think for the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes it's 40, if I'm not wrong. And then the next criteria, which is one which needs to fulfill, is number of attempts. So UPSC provides you whole lot of attempts to get through this examination, right? Because the competition is really tough. Perhaps one of the toughest examination in terms of selection rate, right? As I told you that there are more than 10 lakh people, 7 lakh people appearing every year. I think this year there were around 10 lakh people. Last year around 7 lakh people had appeared in the examination, and out of them only 1,000 make it to the final merit list. So UPSC gives you enough number of attempts to be able to have a crack at the examination. For the general category, the number of attempts stands at 6. Right? Earlier it was 4. It has been increased. There are talks and murmurs of UPSC reconsidering the entire pattern of the examination, probably bringing down the number of attempts. And similarly, for the OBC and the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes and other categories and physically disabled, etc., the number of attempts are more as compared to general category. And then the third is that you need to have a graduate degree. Pradeep mentioned about you would find people those who are from the IITs, you will find people those who are from the National Institute of Design, you will find people those who have done their degrees in mass communication. And then you would also find people those who would have not attended any regular college and be part of correspondence courses. So that is the third criteria sort of you need to fulfill, that you need to be having a graduation degree, or you need to be in the final year of your graduation. Obviously provided that once you clear the examination, by that time you should have a degree in your hand. So even if you're in the final year of the examination, you could appear for this examination. Next. So I'll just take you through the pattern and the scheme of the examination, because this is again something which is very essential to understand the entire life cycle through which a civil service aspirant has to go through. So the entire exam as such is spanned out over almost a year. So this year there are 3 stages in the examination. I'll just tell you what those 3 stages are. So the first and the foremost is that around the month of February or March, UPSC comes out with a notification it comes out with a notification that the examination is going to be held on this particular date, and then they will come out with the forms and all of those things. They probably they give you a time for around 1.5 months to be able to fill the form. Entire thing is to be done online, and so once you have filled the form, you become eligible to write the preliminary examination at civil services at UPSC. So the preliminary examination, as I mentioned, is written by close to 7 to 8 lakh people every year, right? And the scheme of the examination, I'll just talk about that. But the preliminary examination is a one-day examination, and there are two sets of papers which are there. So there are two papers which you have to attempt in the preliminary examination: paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1, as it is usually or generally called as general studies, and paper 2, which is the aptitude test. And paper 1 is the paper or the examination on the basis of which selection takes place. As far as paper 2 is concerned, the merit list is not prepared on the basis of paper 2, but it is just a qualifying examination. So just to elaborate a bit more on that, paper 1 is a paper of 200 marks. I'll take you through what is the syllabus for that particular paper. It's a paper of 200 marks, and it spans over a duration of 2 hours. And there are 100 questions. Each question carries 2 marks, and each wrong response carries a negative of 1/3 of the marks, which are maximum marks awarded for the question. That is basically 1/3 of 2 marks. That is close to 0.66, right? So that's how the first paper looks like, and we'll discuss what are the various components of paper 1 and how does one go about preparing for paper 1. As far as paper 2 is concerned, paper 2 is largely aptitude. You would have questions from comprehension, reading comprehension. You would have simple questions of sentence corrections. You would have simple questions on arithmetic, etc. Some very basic questions, some very basic arithmetic which you would have learned till class 10. So you need not necessarily have studied mathematics or English honors or Shakespeare or someone to be able to qualify that examination. You need to get 33% marks at least to be able to qualify that examination. There are 80 questions, and each question carries 2.5 marks. The marking scheme is again the same. You are awarded negative 1/3, or that is 2.5 divided by 3 for every wrong response, right? So on the basis of number of marks that you secure in paper 1, there is a list which is prepared, and out of 7 to 8 lakh people, those who appear every year, the selected candidates of around 13 to 17,000 depends. This number varies significantly year to year depending upon the number of vacancies which the government is planning to fill. So, for example, last year the number of vacancies which were there to be recruited, or number of people which were to be recruited through UPSC civil service examination was close to 1,070, and around 13,000 people had been called to write for the mains examination. That is the second stage of the examination. Usually the preliminary examination, if I could just go back, usually the preliminary examination takes place around the month of June. This year it was held on 18th of June, right? Last year it was somewhere around August, right? And but it usually varies, but the time is announced well in advance, probably a year before. And then you have the mains examination. So 13,000 students, or 13,000 aspirants, so to say, out of 7 lakh are selected to write the mains examination, which is a subjective examination. Preliminary stage being an objective stage where you have 100 questions. Each question would have 4 options. You need to select the right one, the OMR sheet stuff which is there. As far as the mains examination is concerned, it has mind-boggling 9 papers which one has to write. Out of these 9 papers, 4 papers are general studies papers. Each paper carries a weightage of 250 marks. So you have 4 general studies papers: general studies 1, general studies 2, general studies 3, and general studies 4, which are pertaining to different areas which we'll talk about in detail. One pertaining to history, society, geography, the other one pertaining to Indian constitution, governance, international relations, the third one pertaining to security, agriculture, and economics, and the fourth one pertaining to your aptitude about the civil services. They will try and check your ethics and aptitude towards the civil services, whether you're fit to make it to the civil service. So these are four papers which are there. We'll discuss them about them in detail. Each paper is 250 marks in weightage, and I'll just tell you how the entire pattern sort of evolves. And at the same time, you have one paper which is called as the essay paper. So that also carries 250 marks, and you have to write two essays. Usually, what UPSC does is that they will give you four options. So they will give you 8 topics for essays, and they will divide those 8 topics into 2 brackets, section A and section B. That is essay 1 and essay 2. And essay 1, you will be given 4 options. You have to choose one of them to write one essay. And section 2, you will be again given 4 options. You have to write one essay on any of the topics. You obviously have to choose one topic each from each of the sections, and you can't be choosing 2 topics from one section, right? And the entire essay paper carries 250 marks. And then you have 2 other important papers which are there. Can we go to that? I think the next slide. Okay, I mean, fine. So 2 other important papers which are there. You choose an optional subject while preparing for the UPSC Civil Services examination. This optional subject varies from candidate to candidate, and there are a number of optional subjects to be chosen from. You have optional subjects from humanities such as sociology, public administration, geography, philosophy. Then you have some optional subjects which are there from the sciences background. You would have physics and mathematics, chemistry. Then you would have some from the engineering background as well, electrical engineering, civil engineering, mechanical engineering. And then there are some which are less common ones, such as animal husbandry and veterinary sciences, botany, zoology, again falls into science. And then you would have economics, law, and management, and a number of subjects. So all of this detail is basically available on in the notification which is provided by UPSC every year. So if you want to get more details about which optional subjects are there, which are the ones which I can choose for, you can go through the notification of previous years on the UPSC website, and you'll be able to dig out the optional subjects which are offered every year. There are some literature optionals as well, very popular among some students: Hindi literature, Malayali literature, Telugu literature, Kannada literature, etc. So, and then there are 2 papers pertaining to each and every optional. You have paper 1 and paper 2, again carrying 250 marks. Apart from these 7 papers, there are 2 more papers which are qualifying in nature. So these 7 papers decide your merit. Preliminary marks are not added in deciding the merit. Preliminary marks or preliminary examination is a mere qualifying stage for you to be able to write the mains examination, which is the subjective examination. There are 2 more papers apart from the 7 papers which I mentioned: 4 general studies, 1 essay, 2 optional. The 8th and the 9th paper being the languages. 1 English being compulsory for each and every one. You are supposed to secure 33% marks or more. 30, okay, yeah, 33 I think. 33% marks in the English examination, and they will be giving you a couple of essays. They will be giving you a few sentence correction questions and all of those, but it's a subjective examination, right? They will ask you to write antonyms, synonyms, and all of those things, write a précis, and all of those questions will be asked. And then you have option to select a language out of any of the scheduled languages mentioned in the schedule of the constitution, which include Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam, Marathi, Kannada, Gujarati, all the 20 to 23 languages that we have mentioned in the Constitution of India. So this is the scheme of the examination. These 2 papers are merely qualifying in nature, but they come with a caveat. If you do not qualify your language examination, your next 7 papers are not evaluated. So you need to secure a minimum of 33% marks or whatever it is in those 2 examinations to be able to qualify to write the or to be able to for UPSC to evaluate your 7 other papers. Now, on the basis of these 7 papers, we'll discuss about them in detail. On the basis of these 7 papers and these 2 papers, a merit list is prepared. Not a final merit list, but a merit list is prepared. Out of 13,000 to 15,000 aspirants, those who write the mains examination, close to 3 to 4,000 candidates are called for the interview at the Dholpur House building of Union Public Service Commission at Shahjahan Road in Delhi. So you undergo an interview where you appear in front of a board. There are 7 to 8 boards which are there at UPSC. Each one is chaired by a member of UPSC. Some really eminent retired civil servants, academicians, and officers from the armed forces, retired officers from the armed forces chair those boards, members of UPSC. One prominent name, some prominent names which come to my mind. For example, Lieutenant General Nirbhay Sharma, who was the corps commander of the Indian Army in the Northeastern Command, then and formerly Governor of Arunachal Pradesh, Mr. B.S. Basi, who recently retired as Commissioner of Police from Delhi, and so on and so forth. And there are some really illustrious names which chair these interviews. And then you would have 4 other members, those who will be representing different walks of life, probably from the academia or from the civil services. And this interview carries a weightage of 275 marks. And it's actually not called as the interview by UPSC, it's called as the personality test. So they are trying to judge and they're trying to test your personality, carries 275 marks. So we have 7 papers into 250, that makes it 1750, plus 275 marks of the interview. On the basis of this entire sum of marks, that is 1750 plus 275, what's the number, 2025? Yeah, so 2025 marks. On the basis of whatever number of marks which you have secured in these papers, a final merit list is prepared. Right? A final merit list is prepared on the basis of number of marks which you secure out of 2025 marks. And then on the basis of your ranks and on the basis of your preference of service, you have to choose your preference of service, whether you prefer IAS as the first one, or the IPS as the first one, or IFS is the first one, or IRS, or whichever service as the first one, second one, third one. Depending upon your rank, you are allocated a service by the DOPT, that is Department of Personal Training. Right? So Pradeep already had mentioned about the fairness and the transparency and all of those things as far as UPSC's process is concerned. And one has to say that probably one could raise few questions about transparency in the process, but as far as fairness in the process for selection by UPSC is concerned, one can never raise a doubt, right? Probably some of the state public service commissions or any other examination in the country, fingers have been raised from time to time, but not at UPSC. They select the best in the country on the basis of merit, right? So this is the entire scheme of the examination. I'll just run you through the syllabus very quickly and just give you a brief on the approach as to how you go about preparing for those parts of the syllabus, and then I'll hand it over to Himanshu to talk in more detail about his experience about preparing for the examination and how did he go about preparing for the examination. And just to add to that, there is a very good friend, Mr. O.P. Chaudhary, and he is an IS officer of 2005 batch. I remember him saying something very interesting at an event like this, which we had conducted for students of Vision IS some time back. He said that 180 people get selected in IAS every year. There are 180 seats which are there in IAS every year. And each and every of those 180 have a different method and way of preparing and cracking the examination. And you need to discover that way and method of cracking the examination on your own. Someone can guide you. Probably Himanshu today can tell you that these are the things which you need to prepare, but it is not the end of the world. Probably the number of books which Himanshu read is not going to be sufficient for you. You need to read more, or you could probably do with reading less number of books, right? But one thing which is for sure, as far as the recipe for success in this examination is concerned, is that you need to put in a lot of hard work. In a way, I personally believe that UPSC tests you that how much hard work can you put in before they actually give you reins of administration in this country. Very, very crucial job, very important job for the well-being of the country, and they cannot be handing over the reins of the country to someone who is not ready to put in that effort, right? So this is the syllabus for the preliminary examination, paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1, which is called as general studies paper, carries 200 marks weightage, 100 questions, each question carrying 2 marks. First topic, UPSC mentioned current events of national and international importance. You may ask that, this is so wide and broad. Yes, it is. And that's precisely the point. You need to be a well-aware citizen, a well-informed citizen who needs to read newspapers on a daily basis, not just for preparation for the examination, right? Mind you, not just for preparation for the examination. Because when you actually become an IS officer, when you become a civil servant, you need to know what is happening in different parts of the country, right? Governance does not happen in isolation. You need to understand what is happening internationally to be able to ape some of the best practices from across the world in India, and to be able to learn from some of the pitfalls of schemes and programs that have been implemented somewhere else. The second topic is history of India and Indian national movement. So this covers the entire Indian national movement starting from the 18th century and how India fell into the laps of the Britishers till 1947 and some years post independence as well, right? We will talk about some of the sources which have to be referred for those preparation for these aspects. Then there is India and world geography. You need to be well acquainted with geography of India, geography of world, physical, social and economic geography of India. So you need to know about the mountains, you will be studying about the rivers, you will be studying about passes and glaciers and so many other things. And then you would also be looking at the economic aspect, which mineral is found where, right? Which kind of industry has been set up because of what mineral is found somewhere. If a particular road has been constructed in some part of the country, then because of that, what has been the impact of that road or transport network which has been established, right? Then you have Indian polity and governance. You study the entire Indian constitution. You not the entire Indian constitution as such, but the most important aspects of the Indian constitution. You read about the entire political system of India, how elections are conducted, who conducts the election, which are the important bodies which are involved in this process, which are the various other important political bodies which are involved at different levels of governance, whether it is the district administration, whether it is the state government, or whether it is the central government, the institution of president, the institution of governor, the institution of a district collector, and so on and so forth, right? You also read about the Panchayati Raj, and then some of the rights and the policies and the schemes and the programs which the government has been coming out from time to time. Economic and social development. So you need to know about the economy of India, and before that you need to know the basics of economics. You need to know about what is inflation, how does inflation relate to interest rates, what does Dr. Raghuram Rajan keep saying all the time about bringing down the interest rates or taking them up and controlling inflation in the economy and so on and so forth. What are all of these things, right? You need to know about basics of what the government is trying to do with respect to GST. What is the objective of bringing in a law such as GST and so on and so forth. And then you need to understand the Indian economy. You need to understand that what are the various steps which have been taken, what has been evolution of Indian economy, what are the various sectors into which the Indian economy is broken up into, and so on and so forth. Apart from that, there are some really other interesting areas also which UPSC tries to touch upon, such as general issues on environment and ecology, biodiversity, climate change, that do not require any subject specialization. You need not be an Al Gore or you need not be some expert in ecology to be able to read these topics and to be able to understand and attempt questions in the examination. They will ask you questions on culture of India. They will ask you a particular dance, which state it belongs to. They will ask you that what are the various poses which are there in a particular dance, or what is so peculiar about a particular kind of painting, or what is very peculiar about some kind of music or musical instrument, and so on and so forth, right? Uh, as far so now this sounds really intimidating. This sounds like really intimidating in terms of syllabus. This is very broad. This is very wide. This is very vague as it sounds, but it is not. If you sit down, if you list down the number of books that you have to study, if you list down the fact that you have to read certain newspapers and magazines on a daily basis or on a weekly basis or whatever, preparation becomes very streamlined. We'll talk about that, and I think Himanshu could elaborate more on that. And then paper 2, as I told you, it carries aptitude, right? So it would talk about logical reasoning and analytical ability. How many of you have appeared at CAT? How many of you have appeared at CAT? Okay. How many of you have appeared at NDA, SSC, any objective examination, aptitude examination which you would have written to get into a company? जिसको apti कहते हैं. Yeah. So you know there are similar kind of things which are there in that. Next slide. Yeah, and so books to refer, question type, and ideal way of preparation, and all of those things will be covered by Himanshu. He could just briefly tell you about what are the things which are there. I'll just take you briefly through the scheme of the examination as far as the mains examination is also concerned. 4 papers which are there. If you could just go through. Yeah, so these are the 4 papers which are there in mains examination. First one is paper 1 in general studies, Indian heritage and culture, and in history and geography of the world and society. So you also have history of the world which you have to study in this particular paper. They'll be asking you certain questions related to society of India, some issues related to, let's say, feminization of agriculture or breakup of joint families and so on and so forth. Paper 2 again is with respect to governance and constitution and social justice and international relations. Paper 3 largely economics, security, aspects related to disaster management, and paper 4 about ethics, integrity, and aptitude. So this is just a brief overview of the examination. I feel that no time is probably enough to sort of explain and delve into greater details about the examination. So without much delay, what I'll do is that I'll hand it over to Himanshu to specifically address any queries that you have, and also talk about the way he went about preparing for the examination. So handing it over to Himanshu.